Hey, it's Jonathan McGinley, a Maxwell certified coach, speaker, and trainer, and the founder of Intentional Man, a company that exists to give Christian men the tools, community, and coaching to pursue God-sized goals, live intentionally, and build lives of significance. And one of the most common issues that I hear in working with men is in their relationship to food and getting their health in check. I know this is something that we all want to make a high priority in our lives, but it's a pretty difficult one to really get dialed in. And this area of health is the number one area that people set their New Year's resolutions in, right? You always hear about people wanting to get to the gym or wanting to start a diet around the new year. And this is also the number one area where people seem to fail in their New Year's resolutions. And it can be extremely frustrating. It really can be. It can be discouraging. It can be frustrating not being able to stick with what you intend to do. And you probably do have the best intentions in the world, but just can't seem to find any consistency or see lasting results. And I've been there before. It can be frustrating. And I've worked with numerous men one-on-one in the recent past, helping them get this area in check. It's one of the things I love to help guys with. I have a personal training certification and a nutrition coaching certification. So this is one of the areas that I love to talk about, and I haven't talked about it on this podcast in a while. So today I wanted to share with you some of the best practices that you can put into place if you're having trouble with your diet specifically. And these are tips that you can apply whether you're trying to lose weight, or even if you're trying to put on some muscle, they'll still mostly apply. So you've maybe heard some of these tips before, but I just want to ask you, as you listen to this, that you would ask yourself, are these actually common practice in your life? A lot of times common sense is not always common practice. So it's important for you to reflect on your eating habits and see if these are things that you can start doing on a more regular basis. I believe that there's so much good that comes from feeling physically healthy. Right? Success in this area usually affects so many other areas in our lives for the better. So I love helping people in this area. So today I want to give you 5 tips for controlling your diet. No matter if you're wanting to try keto, paleo, a carnivore diet, intermittent fasting, or whatever other new diet trend is out there, these are some tips that you can do with all of those. So let's go ahead and jump in. So tip number 1, you absolutely must take time in the evening or first thing in the morning to plan out your meals for the day. This is crucial. So many diets fail because people usually take a very reactive approach to eating. And so what I mean by this is that most people don't think through what they're going to eat until it's time to eat, until they're feeling super hungry. That's usually when we decide what we're going to eat. And if there's one thing that I've seen over and over and have absolutely experienced in my life is that we don't typically make great decisions when we're hungry, right? Think to the times when you're super hungry. Are you making your best decisions in those moments? Usually in those moments, your energy levels are down, your motivation is down, and so that usually means that your willpower is down in that moment too. So if you're going to get control of your diet, you need to start being proactive. And that starts with planning out what you're going to eat and when you're going to eat it. And this doesn't have to take super long. I'm talking about a few minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, whatever it is. Take a look at your schedule and just plan out your meals. Decide when you're going to eat during the day and what you're going to eat. A lot of times you may have back-to-back meetings, but it's during lunchtime. So what are you going to do in that moment? You have to have a plan for that. You want to make the decision to eat of what you're going to eat when you're in a good state of mind. You want to make it now when you're thinking clearly, when you're motivated, and not make the decision when you're tired and when you're hungry. If you do that, you're going to consistently make much better decisions. So just this one practice, honestly, could be absolutely life-changing. And there's kind of a second part to this, and that would be to actually prepare your meals the night before when you're done looking at your schedule. So if you've determined exactly what you want to eat, when you're going to eat it, then just go pack that food away in a Tupperware so it's ready to go. That way you just wake up, you grab it in the morning, you have it ready to go. So I'm telling you, just changing your mindset to planning your food and being proactive instead of reactive and just figuring out what you want when you're hungry could make all the difference. It takes a little bit of effort. It's not always going to be super convenient the night before, I know, but just imagine how good it's going to feel and how much time and money that you're going to save the following day if you actually do this. and of course, how much healthier you're actually going to eat just because you took about 5 to 10 minutes to prepare ahead. So that's number one. Number two, this goes hand in hand with number one. And a lot of times you can actually even do this at the same time. But that is to make a plan for eating out. Again, you need to be proactive when you talk about eating out at restaurants instead of reactive. One of the biggest places that we eat too many calories or we eat foods we shouldn't eat is when we eat out at restaurants. Restaurants, of course, they're literally designed for their food to taste as good as possible, right? And that's usually all they care about. There's some that, provide healthy options, but most restaurants, they don't care about how many calories are in it. They want to make the food delicious so that you continue to come back. So it's extremely easy to overeat when you're eating at a restaurant. So here's the key. If you know you're going to be eating out, take time to look at the menu before you get there and decide what menu item that you want to order. This is going to take you just a few minutes, and it could make all the difference. So think through, decide if you're going to have a drink, decide if you're going to have dessert, an appetizer, whatever it is, but just make a plan ahead of time when you're in a good frame of mind and before you have all the social pressures that also come from eating out. So pick that healthy option and stick with it. And then also, if you know you're going to be eating out with friends, but you haven't decided on a place to go, maybe just think about a few healthy options that you can recommend to the group when they ask where you want to go. Just have a few options ready. That could make all the difference too, instead of just going wherever somebody else wants to go, and then it's going to be difficult to make decisions. So when you're proactive and you have a plan for what you want to eat and where you want to eat, you're increasing your chances of success drastically. So make sure that if you actually take step one, pack your food the night before, that's going to help decrease the amount of times that you eat out, which will make it a lot easier to stick to your diet. It's going to save you a lot of money as well. So there's a ton of benefits to packing your food instead of eating out. But if you have to eat out, make sure you're making a plan and being proactive. Okay, tip number 3. We're going to keep rolling through these. So I know you've heard people talk about this before, and a lot of times people have a negative attitude towards this. But tip number 3 is to meal prep. You've probably heard this, but what I mean by this is to take time to cook your food ahead of time in large quantities so that you can just eat it throughout the week. And I know sometimes it's hard to find time to do this, but how bad do you want this? How bad do you want to get control over your diet? This is a huge step to doing this. So if you truly want to hit your goals, you might need to sacrifice a little time on a weekend or a weeknight, whatever it is, to meal prep. But it's also important to change your mindset on this. Yeah, it can take an hour or two sometimes to meal prep, but think about how much time, think about how much money, think about how much energy you're going to save throughout the week if you do it. Each time you cook something new and then you have to clean the dishes, that takes a lot of time. This way, you're only doing that step once. You're only cooking once, you're only cleaning one time. So think about how nice it's going to be to just wake up in the morning, grab a Tupperware full of already prepared food, that's healthy food, and you just bring that to work. It's going to keep you eating healthy. It's going to minimize the amount of times that you're going out to eat. So it's going to save you a lot of time in the long run. And if you don't want to prepare all your meals ahead of time, that's okay too. We're just being proactive here. You can also take time to prepare healthy snacks that you can just grab when you're on the go or when you're hungry at night. Your strategy can be honestly whatever you would like, but the people I've seen who've had the most success when they're trying to get control of their diet, they put this winning habit in place, this habit of prepping their food ahead of time. So that's number 3. Number 4, here we go. Always make a grocery list. Always make a grocery list. The simplest way to make sure you're eating healthy is to make sure you only have healthy foods at home. Sounds simple, right? But again, not always common practice. And grocery stores, just like restaurants, they know what they're doing. They put the attractive, great tasting foods in places that entice you to buy them. So if you don't have a list and you're just going to go buy whatever looks good, a lot of times you're going to end up buying food that you shouldn't. And this is especially true if you go grocery shopping while you're hungry. That's also a big part of this. Only go to the store when you're full so you aren't making those decisions when you're hungry. And then just stick to the list. Only put foods on the list that are going to lend to your goals, and just go in and buy those things and get out of there. A lot of the battle is won at the grocery store. So this is an area that you have to be proactive in. And then my last recommendation, honestly, when it comes to the grocery store, is to just stick to the outside aisles as much as possible. And so, like, picture your grocery store. Usually the vegetables, the fruits, the proteins, some of the dairy products or whatever are on the outside of the aisles. And the highly processed foods are in those middle aisles. And if you start wandering down those aisles, you're going to have a lot of self-control to not buy those chips or the crackers or the cookies or the candy. A lot of those are in the center aisle. So if you're going to go into the center aisles, make sure it's just for that specific item on your list, and then get back to the outside. That's just a simple, practical thing that you can do. All right, and here's the last tip, is to up your protein intake. So I'm sure you hear a lot about the importance of protein when you're trying to gain muscle. We hear, bodybuilders love talking about how much protein they're eating all the time. But whether you're trying to gain muscle or lose weight, protein is going to be your friend. And there's a few reasons for this. The reason that it's so important when you're trying to lose weight is because protein keeps you feeling full the longest. It takes your body the longest to digest protein, so it keeps you feeling more full between meals. And just a little benefit is because it takes longer to digest, your body's actually burning some calories as it's digesting it. So it does burn more calories to digest protein than it does carbs or fats. That's not enough to lose weight on its own. That's not your weight loss strategy, but it does help you burn some more calories. Also, protein only has 4 calories per gram, but fats have 9 calories per gram. And not all fats are bad by any means, but they are higher in calories per gram. So if you're eating highly fatty foods, you're going to be eating more calories than you even realize. So protein is going to help you feel fuller longer. It's going to help your body burn more calories. It's not as calorie dense as fats, and it's going to help you preserve muscle mass as you're trying to lose the weight. So if losing weight is a goal of yours, or if gaining weight is a goal of yours, my recommendation right away would be to try to up that protein intake. So, all right, that's pretty much all I got for you for those 5 tips. So to recap those, plan and pack your meals the night before. Make sure you have a game plan in place when you're going to eat out. When you're at a restaurant, pick a menu item before you get there and have healthy options ready to recommend to your friends. Number 3, make sure you stick to a grocery list when you go to the store. Don't go to the store on an empty stomach. Number 4, take time to meal prep to set yourself up for success. Have healthy meals or snacks ready to go. And then number 5, up that protein intake. So I hope that was helpful for you today. I know this area can be frustrating. I know it can be discouraging. So I hope today provided you with just some practical tips that you can apply immediately. I'm confident that if you do some of these, that you're going to start seeing your eating habits change for the better. So I believe in you. I know you can do it, and go live a life you're proud of by living intentionally.